I'm going to try this product, not just JB Weld, that's just what came with the kit. The kit is two of these studs. The other one's in the vise on the other side of the room. I'm just showing what I'm doing here. These are identical. I mean, one's left and one's right side covers. And I don't know how many places these studs have this same size. I would have to look the bike over and find out how many places you can use these. But broken studs that that snap into these rubber grommets are a common problem on older bikes. And I took a grinder, like this. It's just what I took. You can take whatever you want, and I smoothed this thing down. There was a residue of some glue that somebody had tried to glue something on there before, but it wasn't there when I got the bike. Here's one thing I'm noticing, is that this stud here is like cut almost in half, and the width of the new one is about the same, but I'm probably going to grind one side of this down as well so that it's not a strain on pulling it on and off, because the glue is not going to hold as well as the original plastic. This ABS is just very difficult to glue. PVC and some other ones glue better, but this one's harder to glue. I had to weld up all the cracks with a plastic welder. Well, this is going to be, if I weld this up, then I'll be doing a bunch of body work out here to reshape it and everything, because that'll all get warped. So this kit came, I'll put a link where I got it. I think it was, I want to say CycleMax. CycleMax.com, I think, is where it came from. So anyway, I'll get the camera on the vise across the room there, but I've got this, since this is on here at an angle. See the angle, this side longer than this side, because this is, I don't want to mount it that way, so I'm going to mount it this way. Just eyeballing it, see how close it is. I'll leave room for some glue underneath it, so I'll cut it just a little bit short so that there's plenty of glue underneath it. I think that'll work like that. So like I said, I'm just going to take a hacksaw and cut that off right there even. So now I took a piece of sandpaper, just used sandpaper. I save it for things like this because it has a lot of good sand on it somewhere. And I just roughed this up a little bit. Yeah, I ground it down with the grinder, but I wanted to get a larger area because I know that that glue is not going to stick real good. And after the initial set, I'm going to put more glue around it and build up around the outside of this. So I'm going to sand this down. Where am I in the camera here? I'm going to sand this thing down a little bit too, because that's kind of smooth. Okay, we got to squirt equal amounts. These two. Well, I didn't need a screwdriver. Look, they got a little thing in there, and the cap I could have used to open it. So yeah, I put a little tape on the table and some tape on this body filler spreader. I guess I'm going to have to use another spreader just to get this off. And I don't know if I said it already or not, but I did take this over to the bench grinder and trim that side off a little bit. So I just got to watch this one carefully so I know how to place this thing. I think that's pretty close. Got about 3/4 of an inch from here down to this flat line here, and about the same from here to this flat line here. Well, obviously this worked, or I would not have uploaded the video. But that is my first batch. I'll mix up some more and put it on and try to spread it on around that after that sets up. I have a little update on this, gluing this new little, whatever you want to call this little piece that plugs into the grommet there on the bike. I pulled this side cover off and this piece did snap off and stay in the grommet, but it took quite a bit to pull it. So, and I think one of the reasons why is because I think I said when I made the first part of this video 2 or 3 weeks ago that I was going to come back after this dried and put another coat around it, and I didn't do that. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because now that I see that the glue really does not hold all that well to the ABS, and it needs a lot of surface area built up around it in order to make up for the fact that it just cannot weld itself into the ABS. Okay, so I took this piece that popped off, took it over to the grinder, and I ground a little groove around it so that when I do put more glue on it, we're going to be more dependent on the strength of the glue itself instead of its ability to adhere to the ABS. And I also realized that this was plugged in pretty tight. I had ground one side off of a little bit. You see how some of the overspray of the paint got in there on that side that I ground off before I grounded before I painted it. I have a new batch of glue mixed up, and this stuff is very slow moving liquid. It's thick and pasty, but if you let it sit too long in one spot, it does spread out and kind of fall away. So looks like I'm going to have to keep coming out here and pulling it back up onto that little post to make sure that it stays in that groove that I ground into that post. Anyway, we'll take another shot at it. So it looks like I will not be uploading this video for a while because I want to make sure I've found out how to do this before I can say yay or nay on this little kit. It's been a couple days now since I glued this back on there the new way. Looks like it's coming off like it should. Yeah, I think that'll be better like that after grinding that groove around that little post, putting more glue on it. Alright, that's what I would recommend if you get that kit. I also ground the sides down. I don't know if I said that on an earlier part of the video or not, but I ground the sides down just a little bit because the hole here is kind of vertical in the grommet there, so I ground it sideways a little bit too, and kind of ground into the because actually the tip of this was just a little bit too big. It was just gonna cause problems anyway, so I ground down in here a little bit on each side. Anyway, it's a little bit better fit now, not quite as tight. Okay, so I do recommend getting that kit if you need it. I'll try to remember to put a link up to that, and then just don't put it on just plain, just go ahead and kind of do what I had to do on this one.